We begin this hour with a major shakeup in Canada's media landscape. Bell Media is selling radio stations and cutting newscasts after its parent company said it plans to slash nearly 5,000 jobs. The CBC's Jeannie Lee has the details.
Obviously, the pain is deep and wide, but the media cuts will obviously be the ones that people notice the most because those are the services that people will consume. And so here's how it's all coming down at Bell and BCE. You have a workforce reduction of 9% or 4,800 jobs. And this is on top of 1,600 positions that were cut just 8 months ago. So about more than 6,000 jobs gone in just 8 months. Of those, we're told that less than 10% are under the Bell Media umbrella, but those cuts really do hit hard. Have a look at how Bell Media is canceling most weekend and local noon newscasts across the country. W5, that venerable flagship news program, canceled after 58 years effectively, and the programming and the investigative work will then be broadcast on local and national news shows. Now, fewer specialized shows will be on BNN Bloomberg and also on CTV News Channel. 45 of 103 BCE's radio stations will be sold off, so almost half of them, and more than 100 of the source electronic store chains will be shut down. So, as I said, the pain is wide and deep, well beyond media, and this is after profits dropped by about 23% in the latest quarter. These cuts are to help make up for that. And the CEO and CFO outlined the pain at a news conference this morning. Have a listen to part of what they had to say.
Now, restructuring the business is never an easy decision, but it's what we need to do to simplify our organization and accelerate our transformation. To succeed in a landscape that's being reshaped, it's more important than ever to continue to align our operating model and cost structure to customer expectations and the revenue profile of our business segments.
So there will be focus on areas that will bring in more money and will grow more with more growth potential. And that would mean things like streaming Crave on Amazon and partnerships with Air Canada, Best Buy, and Staples. And the rest will be culled, obviously.
What more did BCE say about why this is happening right now?
Well, it blamed a few other things. Number one, the economy, inflation, interest rates, obviously having an effect on its bottom line, just as it's having an effect on everyone's bottom line. But aside from that, you have the wireless services division, which goes up against Rogers and TELUS and other players, and that means a lot more competition, and consumers are not loyal. They just jump to whichever one will give them the best deal come renewal time. And then there's the internet. Executives have been emphasizing that, basically hammering away at this message that there is just too much regulation, too much policy going against it, and this is specifically in reference to the fiber optics network decision by the CRTC that will allow other users to piggyback onto its network that it says it spent a lot of money, took a lot of risks to build, and that should not happen. And that one is under appeal.
The CBC's Jeannie Lee. Addressing the layoffs on Parliament Hill, the Heritage Minister expressed disappointment in the media giant. Pascal Saint-Onge accused the company of not holding true to their promise to deliver news content to Canadians.
In the past decade, when acquisitions were allowed for those big companies to acquire television station or radio station, it came with the promise that they would deliver on news content. And today, they are backing from that promise, even though they were allowed to acquire all this privilege, Canadian privilege.
Minister Saint-Onge acknowledged the media industry is facing serious pressures and strains, but said it's crucial for media organizations to hold strong over the next few months until the CRTC updates their regulations. The NDP critic for Canadian Heritage also spoke about the massive job cuts. Peter Julian has pointed the finger at the federal government, accusing them of not doing enough to protect journalists while providing subsidies to Bell Media without stipulations.
The federal government has simply not been there. They have ignored what has been a deepening crisis. They have given money to Bell. They have not, that's not come with any strings attached. They've not been forced with those subsidies to actually provide any of the jobs that are so vital for the community journalism and for communities to know what is going on in their region and across the country. And this is where the federal government finally has to step up.
Julian also called on the federal government to provide support and direction for the industry while also ensuring the resources they do provide go to working journalists and not to disinformation campaigns. British Columbia Premier David Eby also reacted to this news today, criticizing Bell for the restructuring move and the job cuts.
The fact that they cannot find it possible with all of their MBAs to operate a few local news stations in British Columbia to ensure that people get accurate, impartial, reliable information in an age of disinformation and social media craziness is such an abandonment of any idea of corporate responsibility. I find it reprehensible. I think it's appalling. And Bell and other companies like Bell that have done this need to be held accountable for the information atmosphere that we find ourselves in today.